Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome today at our online lunch lecture on meditation that we organized together with ORAS and Studium Generale from the TU Delft. My name is Mirte Golverdinge and I'm your host today as we will talk on meditation. So maybe you think meditation is a bit weird and not for you, but in times of lockdown and stress, meditation can serve everyone for a more enjoyable and less stressful life. But where do you start? And does science prove that meditation really helps? Or is it just something that people believe? Well, today we're joined by Steven Laureys. He is a neurologist and he will give us a short lecture on the science of meditation. He has studied the brain during meditations, and from these results, he is convinced that everyone should meditate. As he lives in Belgium, he will join us via Zoom. And after this lecture, I will be joined by Mick and Mace, who are here with me in the studio. As we are in the library, maybe sometimes there is some background noise. Apologies for that, but then you know it when you hear it, that's something that's going on here. Together with Mick and Mace, we will ask Steven all the questions you want to know on meditation. But if there are some questions you have yourself, then you can ask them in the YouTube chat, and we can also ask Steven your own questions. So first, Steven, thanks that you can join us via live stream. It's very nice to have you here.
Pleasure.
And you're a neurologist. You work at the University of Liège, or Luik, as we know it in Holland, where you are the head of the Coma Science Group, if I'm correct. But last year you have also published 2 books on meditation. So maybe my first question to start with, and to start your lecture with, is how did you go from neuroscience to meditation? And yeah, what is the role there? And can you tell something more about it?
Well, thank you, Mirte. It's actually the neuroscience of meditation, right? So you mentioned that I'm convicted about the added value of meditation, but I don't think it's about being convinced or believing things. I'm very happy to be with the very critical minds, the brilliant brains here, the engineers of TU Delft, and talking about something as fluffy and for some maybe esoteric as meditation and mindfulness. So how did I get into this? I would never in my life think that I would be giving a talk like this. It's far from my comfort zone. As a clinical neurologist and also a neuroscientist, I'm interested in how to help patients with severe brain damage. So my favorite organ is this one, and especially the damaged brain, and how we can reduce the uncertainty. I work in intensive care and neuro rehab, and so we have all these machines, thanks to you guys, the engineers, making pictures of the brain. So this is actually a 3D print of what we can obtain in an MRI scan. And that really helps us to say whether patients are conscious or not, whether they will recover after traumatic brain injury and coma, and what we can do for offering new therapies. But also then as a neuroscientist, it permits me to think about what is human consciousness, and that's one of the biggest mysteries in science. So how did I get into meditation? As for many, it was because of a personal crisis. And for those interested, I tell my personal story in the book, the No Nonsense Meditation book. But that was 2012. Went through a tough period. And then I met Mathieu Ricard. I don't know if you know Mathieu Ricard. He's kind of rock star of Buddhism, very much known in the French-speaking world. He's the translator of the Dalai Lama, and he gave a TEDx, Mirte, in Paris. You know, these TEDx talks. He came to talk about his area of expertise, meditation, and I was there to talk about my area of expertise, which is the brain and consciousness, or rather unconsciousness after coma. And so he invited me for a retreat And I invited him to come here in my lab at the University of Liège as a guinea pig. And so that for me was how a new journey started, both personally, scientifically, and now clinically, because as a neurologist, I prescribe meditation to some, more and more, of my patients.
Okay, thanks for answering this question, and maybe you can also inform us a bit more about the science of meditation, because that's what you write about. It's also why we invited you. Can you explain us more about the brain and how the brain works during meditation, and if you can prove if meditation works?
Yeah, so where I feel comfortable is talking about the brain and what makes your brain so special, so complex. We know we have, each and every one with us now, a brain with billions of neurons, okay? More importantly, we have thousands of billions of brain connections. And somehow, and nobody can truly explain why, thoughts, perception, and emotions emerge. So that's what I've been studying for the past 25 years. For those interested, this is my first book, Ons Briljante Brein, not in English, just in Dutch, talking about what we know and don't know about consciousness, which is really a challenge because you're the brightest of all students studying engineering, knowing all the laws of Newton, Maxwell, Einstein, and quantum mechanics is not easy, but it is still incredibly simple as compared to the workings of your own mind. And what I was fascinated about is this opportunity to have these athletes of the mind, these Buddhist monks. Mathieu Ricard has 60,000 hours of meditation behind him. And so being able to have him in my machines permitted me to see with my own eyes what it's actually doing. And that is what I summarize in this book. I never thought I would write the no-nonsense meditation book, and that exists in English. It just came out actually last week. So everything I say, doubt it, check the articles which are mentioned in the book. So remain critical, of course, as engineering students, and look at the evidence where we now have thousands of studies showing that when you meditate, and we could see that, and many people, many labs around the world have shown that meditation increases part of the brain that you train when you do meditation. Because what is meditation? One could compare it with sport, okay? If you tell me, well, I'm doing sport, what do you mean? If you run, you will get strong legs. If you go to swim, you will get strong arms. Same for meditation, which is mental gymnastics. If you, and often it is about attention, training your attention, and we'll do some exercises together. So we will see the attention networks in the brain becoming thicker. We can really do volumetry. We can see the gray matter increase in size in specific parts, important for attention, important for memory, such as the hippocampus. But meditation is much more than exercising attention or reducing stress. It also permits you to be more aware of your emotions. And so you can train empathy, which is the favorite exercise of my good friend Mathieu Ricard, the Buddhist monk. And then you will see these networks important for empathy, emotional control, that are really changing their structure in the gray matter, but also, and this is kind of hidden, the white matter. So I have another 3D print here, and this is something you don't see so often. So what I hold here is again a 3D print of the connections made through MRI, which is called diffusion imaging. You see here the thousands of billions of like roads, highways in the brain, and meditation will, as we have seen and many have shown, increase the connections between both hemispheres. You see this kind of bridge between your left and right hemisphere. So that is what we know about meditation. It changes actually the structure of your gray matter, neurons, white matter, synapses, and then of course how you control your mind and brain, which is what we could show using functional MRI, using positron emission tomography, where we would inject radioactively labeled glucose, because your brain uses a lot of energy. It uses more energy than any other organ in your body for its size. And so we can see how the activity, metabolic activity, we call that, changes during these different exercises of meditation. And of course, for me as a scientist of consciousness, that's fascinating, because with the team, the past 25 years, dedicated my life to understand, well, how do we go from something material? So this is again a 3D print of my own brain. You see in red a network that we could identify that seems to be critical for external sensory awareness, right? So everything you hear and see right now, of course, you can say, well, I see with my eyes and my visual cortex. These are necessary but not sufficient. For you to see, give meaning, what comes through your eyes, ears, all your senses, you need that frontoparietal network. And then there is another part of consciousness, which is the little voice talking in your head right now, okay? It's going on and on and on. Very, very powerful. Your brain is a prediction machine, so you can anticipate. I still need to answer that email. After this lecture, I need to do this and that. And you have your own autobiographical memory. So this little voice critically depends on, you see in blue, what we called the internal awareness network. And so we have external awareness network, internal awareness network. We have deep inside the emotional salience network. These three networks basically will change their activity when you do the different meditation exercises. We've shown that over and over again by all possible means, not just with fMRI and metabolic PET, but also with EEG. So let me take one machine. So this is a EEG cap, one of the things we put on these Buddhist monks, and that permits us to see what's going on in these experts in meditation while they meditate. Now, you don't need to be a Buddhist monk. I'm not a Buddhist, far from a monk. I would say if I can do it, anyone can do it, as a control freak and kind of hyperactive personality. So interesting to study the extreme athletes of the mind, the Buddhist monks. But basically, studies have shown that you and I, if you do meditation, after 8 weeks, we also see these changes. And this is one example of what we see with high density EEG. Let me try to make it clear. So you see, this is again the brain of my friend Mathieu Ricard, and the activity when he's basically doing nothing. It's very difficult. You can't do nothing. You're always thinking. So we have all these spots here, a bit everywhere in the brain, and the loops there represent brain connectivity. And when he starts meditating, you see something is happening. It is more focused. You see the change. This is meditation, and it is this midline internal awareness network that is active. And this is just the wandering mind where thoughts in this stream of consciousness jump from one thing to the other. And it's not a problem on itself, but sometimes this little voice, can make you anxious, can keep you from falling asleep. And then, of course, having these meditation exercises is wonderful for you to have some control, other than by, taking a pill, a sleeping pill, tranquilizer. And Netherlands, Belgium were still seeing many people who take those kinds of breaks, pharmacological breaks on our brains. And you mentioned COVID. So I do see that a lot of people, including the young people, are taking anxiolytics. And that's good. We have these pills, but it is not necessarily the first or only thing we should do. So this is my brief summary of what I've seen meditation can do with our brains and our mind and our body.
Thank you very much, David.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Maybe it's also, before we bombard you with all questions, maybe it's good to experience meditation a bit, because we now talk about it, but it's good to experience it, and maybe you can guide us into such a small meditation session that we can do at home and here in the studio.
With pleasure.
Good.
I propose my favorite exercise, Mirte, is something you can do anywhere, anytime. I did a lot of retreats, and I was with these Buddhist monks. I felt like going to the Olympic Games as an amateur. And I, after a while, came to the conclusion that, well, it's very useful to do these formal meditation exercises. You go and sit on your mat for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, in the morning, in the evening. But once you've learned a couple of these exercises, I think the challenge is to do meditation throughout your day. And that's what I do here at the University Hospital. As said, my area of expertise is the damaged brain. So I see a lot of families, a lot of dramatic events, people losing their loved one after a car accident, whatever. And so between two patients, I would just sit and breathe. And that's what I propose we do here, okay? We will just sit and breathe. And you're already on your chair, and that is all you need, together with some curiosity and the openness to enjoy the experience. And I would invite everyone with us to try this, because you're absolutely right. You can talk about it, you can read about it, just do it. I can't meditate for you. And it's a personal experience. And there is no good or bad way. The exercise I propose is to simply breathe and keep your attention to the breathing. You'll see it's not that simple, because you'll be thinking. Thoughts will pop up. You will be hearing things, you will be perceiving emotions, whatever, and you will just accept that. Bring the attention back to the breathing over and over again. So that's the exercise. So the more thoughts you have, actually, the more you can muscle that network and bring attention back again and again and again. Okay? So we observe these thoughts, we don't clinch to them. They always go, they will come back. We just bring the attention to the breathing. So first I would invite you to sit with both feet grounded on the floor. Oh, great, Mick and Mees, perfect students, all of us listening here. So put both feet comfortably grounded on the floor, and I would propose to take a straight sitting position. You're in very comfortable chairs. Just put your back a bit straight so that you sit up, comfortable but with dignity. Your hands on your legs, And you can close your eyes if you wish to, and we will just together breathe in and out. And it can help to count, especially for engineers. 1, in, out. Very good. And 2, you can breathe out a little bit longer. 3. Doing great. We'll do 3 more. Last one. Perfect. You can open your eyes, reconnect here and now where you are. So very simple exercise. If I do that, the most challenging is actually the first breathing. Just, offer yourself a moment of inner peace. Pause. I can check it, and you're engineer, so you want to see numbers. My smartwatch, my heart rate, it will go down. Studies have shown that. I can take my blood pressure, it will go down. I can put in a catheter and measure my stress hormones, cortisol, noradrenaline, they will go down. So it is clear that meditation, the simple breathing exercise, bringing your attention to your breathing and trying to monotask, just do that. Observe your thoughts. Do not engage in them. Is very effective for you, not just to train attention, and hence also, by the way, working memory, but also offering you some more peaceful condition. And I know I can imagine how tough it is with COVID times, and for too long now, we are being restricted, and it's hard for you to do your studies, and we're social animals, and it's a punishment not to be able to, be together, hug each other. So it can be stressful, and it's very clear that chronic stress is not good. That's what I see in my consultation. I see way more people with headaches and with pain, and basically every complaint will be more severe when you're stressed. More insomnia, more anxiety, depression, burnout. Especially as a caregiver, it's very difficult. We are very sensitive we're at risk for burnout. 2 of my colleagues committed suicide. And what do? Well, I propose we have some more attention for our mental well-being, which is something that is completely, I'm afraid, ignored at school, high school, university. And so it's great. I'm sure you're very, very bright people. And a lot goes about giving you knowledge. And maybe way too little is there to give you, emotional support, emotional intelligence, train your mental well-being. And I think it is impossible to continue like that. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, writing the books and giving these conferences. And I invite you to at least give it a try. I'm not an engineer. I wanted to be one, but I trust that even your most critical Cartesian minds can benefit from the very simple exercise. And there's many others we just did.
Thanks. So
Yeah, thank you.
It was your first time meditating, right? That's
Yeah.
what
For
did
me,
you
it was
think?
well. I got really relaxed, but I still had some thoughts because I really wasn't clear um, what was supposed to happen. So I've this question: if I'm meditating, am I supposed to just forget everything and focus on breathing, or can it also help to when you have a certain problem and you can't find a solution to breathe and then focus extremely on that problem, or is that not what you want to do?
It's no, I wouldn't focus on a problem. So your question, what am I supposed to feel, right? Is
Yeah,
uh,
basically. Is
so
it just to
so
clear my head,
Or you just not feel anything.
or yeah, is it?
Yeah.
so meditation again. It depends on your needs. So maybe
Mm,
there's two situations here. One is if you have a problem, if it's a medical problem, something that keeps you from doing your studies or your work or whatever, go talk to your medical doctor, professional caregiver. But of course, we shouldn't wait until the problem becomes so big. So investing in prevention and just mental well-being, just as important as physical well-being. And it's probably a good idea that we move a little more and we jog a little bit. But some people prefer swimming, biking, and so on and so forth. What I would suggest is um, this letting go. Meditation is not competition. It's not about reaching something. um, so what is supposed to happen? Well, nothing. It's you doing this exercise where it's not the aim you would solve some problem during the exercise. The exercise is just there for you when we do this breathing meditation to permit you to do one thing and train your attention. And as you said, it's impossible to think about nothing. These thoughts just pop up, right? I discussed a couple of times with the Dalai Lama, and meditation is not about thinking about nothing. Your brain always thinks, has perceptions, has thoughts. And we showed that with the team, even after coma, in deep sleep, in anesthesia. You need to be brain dead for it to stop completely. And meditation is not the aim to get brain dead. On the contrary. And what I showed also is that the activity is actually more focused. So it helps you to train your focus, train your concentration. It can reduce your stress, but you can also train your emotional well-being, which is something we never actually um, learned. Um, how are you? It's a question we often ask. Huh? Oh yeah, that's okay. You are. But how do you really feel? It's not so easy. And again, you can train. There's many exercises. You can do what we just did. You can do the body scan. You can repeat a mantra in your head, permitting you basically to just be more attentive to something terribly important, and that is your feelings. And so it's not about expecting something magical to happen. It's really no nonsense, where you offer yourself an exercise of attention, and then it depends on what are your needs. Do you have trouble sleeping? Are you too stressed or anxious? You want more focus, creativity. So that is depending on your needs, and there is no one fits all solution for that. So you would just need to try. If I prescribe a pill, it's the same pill for everyone. If I talk about meditation, I invite people to try a bunch of things, like in the sushi bar. And then you decide, okay, this I don't like, I let it go. And this one I take again. I felt this moment, this helps me.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I, I also have a question from the YouTube chat. So thank you very much for all those questions here. And one of the questions is from Kyra Starlight, and she's asking, doesn't everything you do make those connections and make those like connections in your brain? Is that not something that always happens? Or is it a matter of choosing what kind of connections you make when you're going to meditate? Maybe as a neurologist, you can say something on that.
So your brain is indeed very plastic, and that's the whole field of neuroplasticity in neuroscience. So after this webinar, I hope if you have some memory of it, it will change some brain connections, some synapses. And if you study your books, it will change these brain connections. And so depending on what you're doing, you will have specific changes. But you can train that. And as said, life is not just about knowledge. I thought maybe overestimated the importance of knowledge, and what you see at universities is, making these connections, basically remembering all the stuff that will make you good engineers. And that's, of course, good when you're designing your bridge or whatever you do. But there's more than that, isn't it? And so having exercises to train also that is what meditation, mindfulness as a form of mental gymnastic is all about. And then you will see these specific changes, as we and others have observed. So you see these highways structurally changing, and that permits a brain that functions differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mace, what
Um,
did you think about the session?
You said you can train your concentration. So what I'm curious about is there are a lot of students who have this big troubles concentrating, maybe have ADD or something. Is meditating an option for those kind of students to manage their problems? Before they go
For
study.
law students.
No, just for students in general. Like,
Okay.
can they help their ADD or other things?
Well, definitely, yes. I do think that it's worth trying, and studies show that it has an effect on your cognitive functioning, on memory. It's actually just part of the package, right? I mean, if you wanna do as good as you can as a student, and I remember it's tough being a student and surviving your exams. Your life hygiene is important. Of course, you need to study. You need to sit on that, behind that desk. And motivation, of course, is I think what permits you to move mountains. That is number one. And then having a healthy life. So doing sports, having good quality sleep. We did a lot of research on the relation between sleep and memory. Meditation is part of it, social contacts. So to me, it's really this package. It's not just you meditating and waiting to become a brilliant student, but it can help, and you will discover other ways. It's again up to you how you feel, and this is actually what you're already doing, right? You have your favorite spot to study. Some prefer to be alone, some prefer to be in the library, some put on music, all these Spotify lists. There's the Mozart effect, when you listen to classical music, that has an impact on your cognition. So that's the challenge. It is not so that this will make your studies suddenly super easy or something, but it is worth giving a try, because there's so many potential benefits. So when you're in your exam period, of course, stress can be an issue. And how do you deal with that? And then, of course, some people will take amphetamines or drink a lot of coffee or smoke cigarettes to be hyper excited, or then take tranquilizers or whatever drugs to calm them down. And there are alternatives, and it's amazing how powerful the mind is. So even the pills I prescribe, clinical trials have shown that the painkillers that I prescribe, the anxiolytics, the antidepressants, they have a clear effect on the neurochemistry of the brain, neurotransmitter changes. Actually, meditation can have the same level of effect, and it's a natural way to have an impact on what's happening between your ears, where you, of course, remain in control and become an actor. So I'm not sure I answer your question, but
You kind of did. I get it. Yeah, yeah. What are the effects, the biggest effects you see when meditating in the brain? What brings it to the body?
So the brain, well, as said, it's these networks, attention, emotional control, structures like the amygdala, but also prefrontal cortex, executive function, cognition, and the rest of the body. Yes, we discussed stress responses. There is a significant impact there. The immune system. So there is a very complex but real interaction between your mind and your immune system. And again, chronic stress is not good, even at the level of your DNA. So studies have shown, there's a picture in the book of your chromosomes and little telomeres. So these are the little caps that protect your chromosomes. And when you grow older, they become smaller and you are more vulnerable to diseases and cancer. And it turns out that chronic stress will increase that process. And meditation, in contrary, will have a positive impact on these telomeres. And that's just impressive that we can actually see at the level of the chromosomes how the mind is impacting not just the brain and the body, but also actually our genetic material.
Yeah, I've another question. You were talking about Mathieu, the Buddhist who has 6,000 plus hours of meditation. And I 60,000.
60,000.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a lot of time.
It
And I guess we as students don't have that much time on the side to meditate. You're also telling that it usually takes effect after 8 weeks of meditation, or that you at least can visualize it. How long do I need to meditate every day to become with like an inner peace, or how you can describe? Yeah, how long does it take?
Yeah. Thank you, Mick, for this question. You're absolutely right. I mean, when Mathieu comes, he stays at our place, and my wife always says, "Well, it's easy for him to be a Zen master. He's not having a full-time job like we do. No partner, no kids. I got 5 kids, so his life is very, very different, isn't it?
Yeah,
And we can just, have some inspiration there, but we shouldn't become Buddhist monks. You do what you can. I think that the basic message in my book is every minute can help. So again, meditation is not competition. Don't be obsessed that I need 20 minutes twice a day sitting on my mat, and then it can become have actually a negative impact. So do these kinds of exercises. You can do a retreat. You can well, this is the Oefen book, so offering exercises. This is what you can find on your smartphone. The most used in Europe is Petit Bamboo. It just also now permits Dutch meditation. Headspace, there is a series on Netflix. So there's many, many ways to try this out. Wonderful things on the internet. And don't put the bar too high. Okay, don't expect too much too quickly. Just give it a try. Like, I'm gonna start jogging. You don't necessarily need to train for a marathon, do you? You can, but it's really up to you and your needs, and every minute helps. So that's why in the books I talk so much about, I'm not a Buddhist, and it's not about Buddhism. It's just about you taking a moment throughout the day to offer yourself some inner peace. It can be very simple. What we just did, you can do it on the train, the tram, while waiting in the grocery store. And actually, many of the things we do throughout the day, brushing our teeth in the morning, or cooking, or whatever, you can do in a mindful way. Um, I don't know about you, but very often I would like to do as many things as I can, and we're often multitasking. But sometimes it's better just to do one thing and to do less better, and actually it improves your productivity, and you just let go about the goals, and it will come if you just look at it from a different angle. So there's many ways. Also, when you do sports, actually, when you go swimming and or running, you sometimes have these moments you're just in the flow. Also, when you study, sometimes it's just impossible. Sometimes it just comes naturally. So try to create the circumstances that favorize that. But letting go is actually, I think, and I personally experienced and learned from my patients, sometimes a good thing to harness.
So you talked about the circumstances, making the best circumstances to meditate. What are those? I think we talked about, do we need candles? Do we need like music or maybe clothing? That
Or maybe no clothing.
no
whatever you
clothing.
like.
but what do you
Thank
need?
you, Miss.
Or is it as simple as making sure your roommates do not enter the door so you have some silence?
It varies from person to person. Actually, you don't need anything than your own motivation and curiosity, as said, but it can help. So I would suggest that when you start, you choose your favorite spot. Ideally, you're in a calm environment. You shut off all these smart machines and internet notifications whatsoever, and you put on your door the do not disturb sign. And in a couple of minutes, you just allow yourself some calm, quietness. It's not often that we truly have that opportunity. There's noises in all the sense of the world around us. So that can help. You can create your little corner with cozy cushions and inspiring pictures, ideally being exposed to nature. So I would suggest just, your chair. You can have a yoga cushion if you want to later on, and sit in your lotus if you like it. Put on a candle, put on your music. These are things that can help, but in the end, it is you and what's happening up there. And that's really very individual, very personal, and it will change over time. So that's kind of the discovery, the exploration of your internal universe there. And there's a lot happening that we don't pay attention to, and that is worth try to these different exercises out alone, with guided meditation. I think I very much enjoyed these apps in the beginning. They're all free, so you just download Petit Bamboo, Headspace, mindfulness app, meditation moments, also in Dutch, and off you go with a voice that will guide you through. And you just put, I got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But I really think that that is up to each and every one of you, and it will be a bit different. At least that's the case for me. Sometimes I'm doing no formal meditation at all, and sometimes really I will be sticking to a schedule, which is always very good. But do what you can and create the circumstances that for you work best. And that can also be together with your team, with your housemates. If they're into it, it can definitely help. But that is really personal.
You talk about it's very personal, um, but are there different kind of techniques for different kind of problems that you can use, so you can really specify your needs?
So yes, It depends again if we talk about a clinical context. Obviously, if you're suffering from, a medical condition, um, clinical trials have shown the benefit of this or that. Mostly mindfulness. Mindfulness is the most studied exercise currently in meditation. But as for the rest, I have no, method or exercise to sell or to impose. I would rather be a bit suspicious when find it suspicious when I hear someone saying, it needs to be my way and all the others are wrong. So it's as said, like taking care of our physical well-being. I mean, some just like to swim, others to bike, to play soccer, to play tennis, whatever. Truth is that we probably don't move enough, and then it's good to pay a little bit attention. Same for our mental well-being. So the way you do it, I think, is up to you, and it is difficult for me, even for like sleeping problems. Okay, my wife would do the body scan. What is the body scan? You just lay down, and then you very carefully pay attention to your body, going from your toes all the way up, and that helps her falling asleep. It's not the one I use when I want to be quiet and fall asleep. I would do these mental imagery, so visual imagination meditation techniques. So that is different from what you engineers are used to. It's not Newtonian physics or Maxwell, exactly predicted. The mind and the brain is complex, and there's many parameters and confounding factors, which makes it necessary here for you to just try it out and see how it feels, and that might also change over time.
Can you combine like physical exercises and mental or yeah,
Absolutely, yes,
brain
yes, yes.
exercises?
In the book, I talk about running meditation, for example. So when I was going through this tough period, I didn't just meet Mathieu and meditate. I also started running, and I did my first marathon shortly after. And when you're running and running a lot at that period, it can be a kind of meditation. And again, you can, and that's what I do now. When you run, breathing is very important. So you can, again, um, for some parts of your sport training, pay attention to, for example, the breathing. Then you can pay attention when I run to exactly how do my feet hit the ground. And I'm very mindful about me touching every foot and part of the foot. And so there's different ways to do this. And you're absolutely right that you can combine doing sport and doing mental sports or meditation.
Yeah, and you were talking.
And top athletes,
Mhm.
sorry,
No, yeah, go ahead. I will ask it later.
top athletes, by the way, know that very well. So we had a couple of, these Olympic champions, and in the book, one of them, the European champion of, how do you see that, Tienkamp, decathlon.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's of course you need a strong body to win the Olympics or whatever sport you do, but at that level it's really the mental that makes a difference. And we know these big names from the NBA, from basically all sports. So also worked with Formula One drivers. They know how to train their minds, and that makes a difference. So definitely yes, you can combine them, and of course not only when you're an Olympic champion.
Yeah, and you were talking about like this mindful kind of way with really focusing when you will or where you will hit with your foot. But as I said, I'm not really experienced in all the meditation. What is mindfulness exactly?
So mindfulness is now a kind of trendy word we
Yeah,
hear
I've
and see
heard
a
it a
lot.
lot, but
Yes, yes. On the other hand, despite the hype, very little, if anything, is happening, right? Structurally speaking. So in hospitals, like myself, I'm a caregiver. I need to take care of others, but I never was given any instruction about how to take care of myself. And as said, at risk of burnout, and that's true for many, many other professions. So despite the hype, very little is happening structurally in schools, in your university. I don't know, there's probably no course that is mandatory on meditation. Am I
No,
right?
no, nothing mandatory.
Should there be one, if I can ask you? Is that
Of
something
course there should be
you
one.
should
I
advocate
think
about?
it's extremely strange. It's extremely strange. We're not machines, right? We talk a lot about artificial intelligence. Half of my team are engineers, so I kind of know how they function. We have these top computers within the Human Brain Project, and we talk about artificial intelligence and about virtual reality. All these technologies are terribly exciting, but you know, we need to reconnect with our human needs, and that is worth being instructed. So I definitely think we should all benefit from it. It's very strange that we keep insisting on knowledge. You know, a computer can do it way quicker and way more storage capacity than your brilliant brains. So we need to invest what makes us different from these supercomputers. And that is your irrational mind and intuitions and emotions, creativity. Artificial intelligence doesn't exist. They're not intelligent. They can't create truly anything. They're just following the algorithms and doing a lot very quickly. But so, yes, I do think it's very strange that for such a long time we're ignoring what differentiates us from these machines. And I think in 1-2 generations we'll be saying, well, how is it possible it took us so long?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think because of time, we only have time for one question, and I saw some interesting question in the YouTube chat, and it was about your books. There was someone who said, I'm starting with meditation, so which book should I start? Should I start with your no-nonsense meditation book or with the practical guide?
Or buy both?
Or both.
Or none. There's a lot of things out there. I mean, I'm a little bit biased, of course. So the first book is more about, you know, what we did, the study, summarizing the research, and also a couple of people who give their testimony. So I hope some young people, some sport people, some CEOs, some engineers who I hope can inspire others. And then a lot of people ask me and the publishing company, okay, but how do I do it? And that's what the next book is about. It's the Oefen book. Really very, very easy. Again, if I can do it, anyone can do it. But it's, again, up to you to find your way. There's the different apps for you engineers. There's also the wearables. So there's Muse that measures your brain activity or gives you some feedback. For the meditation breathing, there's Moonbird. So this is a little device that would expand and retract and give you the frequency. We talk about mindfulness meditation, but there's a lot of possibilities there. We didn't mention hypnosis, which is thoroughly powerful also. Auto-hypnosis, you can do heart coherency, sophrology, transcendental meditation, like David Lynch in the English version of the book. There's an interview with David Lynch, you know, the filmmaker, who's doing his mantra, which is another way to experience it. So yeah, I'm a bit biased regarding the books. And I believe there's a reduction also for you guys, no?
Yeah, indeed. That was something I want to tell you, but it's a good way to introduce that. If you are enthusiastic about the story Steven told, and if you want to purchase his books, there is indeed a discount code available for you. So if you use the code TU Delft in small letters, you get 10% discount when you order it at the publisher's website, and that is borgerhoflamberrecht.be, because it's Belgium. And I think it will also be put in the YouTube chat, so you can check that out. But thank you very much, Steven, for this talk, for answering all of our questions.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Also, thanks to you two to be here to experience meditation for the first time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to
It was nice.
I liked it.
I think I'm gonna try it because it's so low key. You don't have to do it. I thought I came in here, you have to do it 20 minutes every day, but I can just do it at my desk 5 minutes, and yeah, sure worth the try.
Wonderful, Mick. It was all worth it then. Already won.
Yes.
yeah, and there's also good news for someone who is probably watching. We had also a win action for a book, one of your books, the Practical Guidebook. And Isaac Goodhart has won this book. So congratulations to you, and we will be in contact with you and make sure that this book is sent your way. Moreover, I see also a question if someone's asking, is the book also available in English? And if I understand you correctly, the first book, the No Nonsense Meditation book, is available in English, right?
Yes, I'm looking for a copy, but I only received one. I think I left it home. It's called the No Nonsense Meditation Book. It's Bloomsbury, publisher, Green Tree. They also do the Harry Potters, wonderful publishing house. And that's very recent. So it's in the UK. The problem with Brexit, stupid Brexit, is that if you're outside the UK, you can't yet order the hard copy. You can only order the ebook. And that will change in June 15th when it is launched worldwide and in the US. But I'm very happy with the result of that one, which for me is a new discovery, meeting wonderful people and also testimonies in the book, including Sam Harris. You may know the neuroscientist Sam Harris. He also has an app, Awakening, with the neuroscientist from California. So it's on the website of Bloomsbury. It's called the No Nonsense Meditation Book.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, thanks to you two, and I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I hope you learned a lot about meditation, maybe also have some tips to start it, maybe just today, just now. And if you want to check the other lectures of Studium Generale or our future program, because we will program some more online lectures, please check out our social media platforms and our website. And I hope to see you in the future. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Mirte. From my side also, it's wonderful to be here. And for those who would still have questions, feel free to contact me through all of these social channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever is out there. And I will try my best to get back to you. Thank you so much for you guys organizing this. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thanks.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.